Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, the 24th of January, and I just wanted to say hi and tell you what's been going on here in room A2. Lots of exciting things, actually. Nothing that I really need to make a video about and kind of show you what's going on with homework, because I believe a lot of it is pretty self-explanatory. But as always, if you are a student, if somebody's struggling at home with the homework, I want to make sure that you either write me a note on the homework, you can write me a note in your student's planner, or you can always just write me a note and put either Mrs. Fallon or Miss Riley on it if you or the student needs some extra one-on-one time, if they need some assistance with everything. I usually try to go over all of the strategies that we're learning, pretty much anything in any of our subjects each day. Like, for example, today for math, we're trying to really the lessons that have been going on, there's a lot going on in every single session. So there might be like 3 or 4 different activities. So if we don't get it all done in one day, I don't like to squish everything together and rush the students. I like to kind of break it out and make sure that students are ready to go and that everybody can move on at the same time, or if I need to stop and go back and review a certain strategy. So let's just get on to math, since that's what I kind of started with. So we are still working with adding numbers and subtracting numbers, and the last couple sessions what we've been doing, we've been working with something called a thousands chart. So usually the students are really used to a hundreds chart, but now we have a thousands chart, which is basically 10 hundreds charts that are all stapled together, and they are labeled from 1 to 1,000. Now last week and part of this week is what we did was we started labeling some of our part of our thousands charts booklets. And I told the students, it's going to take you a very long time to fill out your entire thousands chart. So what we're looking for are landmark numbers. So maybe you want to fill out all of the tens in your thousands chart. So you can go from 10, 20, 30, 40 to 510, 520, 530, 540. So you just want to put in a couple of numbers on your thousands chart so that if you need to find a number, you can kind of use those landmark numbers to help you find one single number. So the students each have their own thousands chart, thousands booklet, and they've been using it throughout the last couple of sessions. And now what we're really focusing on is adding and subtracting and making sure that we're looking at place value. So we're looking at the hundreds place, the tens place, and the ones place. So we're adding and subtracting, making sure that we're lining everything up correctly. But we also are comparing these numbers. So we might be ordering them from least to greatest. We might be ordering them from greatest to least. So again, that's where that place value is going to come into place. What numbers do I need to look at? Which place value do I need to look at in order to figure out which is my smallest number, which is my next largest number, and moving on and so forth. And another thing that we're still working on is using different manipulatives and drawing different things to help us figure out addition problems and subtraction problems, so that we work with something like this, which we call a sheet, because there are 10 tens in here and there's 100 on a sheet. So all the students, if I put this up and I say how many are in this sheet, everybody knows there's 100 in here. Then this we call a strip, and there are 10 singles in here. So one strip equals 10. And my single I dropped. So just this little guy is just our single. So we can use these when we're adding, while we're subtracting, or maybe even working with tens and singles and hundreds. And we can use these to help us figure out some word problems. So today what we did was we were talking about collecting different items. So say maybe we're collecting coins or collecting stamps, and people have certain number of things in their collection. So maybe they have 550 stamps in their collection. So they want to know how many like strips of 10 do they need. So the students were able to either use these manipulatives or be able to draw these. So if you want to if we don't have these at home, you can draw a square to represent a sheet. You can just draw a single line to represent a 10, and you can draw just like a little square, like a dot, to represent a single. So again, if I want to know how many strips of 10 belong in 550, all you have to do is draw strips of 10, counting by tens until you count up to 550. Another student today noticed that they could also be doing some division, which was really great to see. And another even student said that they could use multiplication as well. So I'm really glad the students are seeing the interconnectedness between all of this, and that you can do multiplication, you can do division, you can be counting by tens, you could be drawing, you could be using manipulatives. So the biggest thing is using all of these strategies that we've been talking about all year to help you figure out these word problems. So that's what's been going on. It's mostly addition and subtraction, but again, using all of these other skills and strategies we've been talking about all year to kind of bring everything back and kind of review everything and make sure that we're using those skills and strategies that have been learned. So I know tonight for homework is page 140 and we're working on some word problems again. So again, any help, anything that you need, if you need me to review it with you, I'm more than happy to do that with you in the morning just to make sure that everybody's understanding the concept. So that's math. For science, we are moving right along with our Earth Systems unit. We finished up talking about the patterns of the Earth, and so what makes day and night and what causes the seasons. And now we're actually moving on to the patterns of the moon. And today we actually learned about the different moon phases. So that was really interesting. There's 8 phases of the moon. So we talked about how the moon looks like it's changing shape, but it's really not. And what waxing means and what waning means, and we have a waxing crescent and a waning crescent and a waxing gibbous and a waning gibbous. We have new moons and we have full moons and quarter moons and half moons. So it's really exciting for the students to kind of see that they've seen the moon looking like this before, but now they're understanding why the moon actually looks like it's changing. So tomorrow we're going to be doing an activity that talks about this a little bit more. So again, we're just being able to describe the moon and why the moon looks like it changes. So for writing, what we've been doing is we have been really putting our nose to the grindstone and we are typing up our realistic fiction stories. I would say probably about 90% of the class is done. So all we need to do now is make sure everybody's on the same page, and then I think tomorrow or Thursday we're actually going to be editing all of our pieces. So we're going to be looking for capital letters, we're going to be looking to make sure everything is spelled right, we're going to be looking to make sure that we have correct punctuation, and we're also going to be looking to see if we need to add details anywhere, if there's anywhere that we can show and not tell our characters' feelings. So that's really what we're going to be looking for. Miss Riley and I are going to be conferencing one-on-one with students just to make sure they have all those elements. And the students are also going to be having their own checklist so they can make sure that they have every one of those elements within their realistic writing piece. So that ensures that they, do better on their grade. If they have everything, then they should do really, really well. Then for reading, our skill this week, we've been working on comparing and contrasting. And this story is, as I mentioned earlier, it's Yonder Mountain, and it's about 3 young men who would like to become chief of this Cherokee Indian tribe. So we are comparing and contrasting them to see how are these 3 characters alike and then also how they are different. And the students did an excellent job today being able to explain their similarities and their differences. And they were even able to use the text and cite evidence from the text to prove and see where they found those examples from. So I'm really, really proud of them in that aspect. So tomorrow what we're going to do, we're still going to continuing comparing and contrasting, but we're going to be comparing and contrasting 2 different stories. So what we read on Monday was a legend, so they're going to be comparing Yonder Mountain to a different nonfiction story about another Indian tribe. So kind of now not just comparing and contrasting characters, but comparing and contrasting stories in themselves. So that's really what's been going on. Again, we're moving right along. We're about halfway through. So if you ever have any questions or need anything from me, feel free to message me on Dojo, or you can always email me. So everyone have a wonderful evening. It looks like it's drying up. I hope we actually get to see the sun tomorrow. That would be exciting. And maybe the kids can get out during recess as well. I know they've been cooped up inside with indoor recess. So they still get their recess, but I know it's always fun to go outside and kind of stretch and get all those jitters out. So have an awesome night, and I will see everyone in the morning. Bye.